Moved far from my daughter. I moved far from my daughter because I'm sick of her and her husband. I, 48, F, has a daughter 24, F. She's my only child. She is married to a guy that I think is not a good fit for her. He cheated on her twice when they were just dating, and she forgave him despite me pleading to dump the cheater. Once they are married, he quit his job and started managing her finances. She makes about $50,000 and she can't even buy new shoes because he put her on a budget. He bought himself a new gaming console and spends hours playing while she is working her ass off. She would constantly ask me for help because they need extra money to cover their bills. They'd also visit me and take groceries from my pantry. I told her she needs to manage her own finances and never let him spend her money and also make him get a job. She gets mad and says he is still figuring things out and that he is meant to do big things. I flipped and told her I can't help her anymore. She cried and said, "All you care about is money." I got offered a new job which is several states away. I gladly accepted. I decided not to give her my new address and also go low contact with her. I just can't continue watching her tolerate an abuser and also use me as her ATM and guilt trip me when I don't want to help anymore. Edit. People thinking I just abandoned her while she's sinking. I gave her a lot of help. It got to the point where I am maintaining 2 households, mine and hers. She also kept asking me to include her husband in my will. Both of them criticized my decision to buy a nice vehicle, saying I am spending her inheritance. Excuse me, I am only 48 years old. I am not planning on dying anytime soon and my money is for me to spend. I am sick of them both and it is up to her if she wants to leave him. I will always help her get away, but she will have to ask me for help, not me begging her to accept my help to divorce him. A person said, "Good for you." Unfortunately, she will have to learn the hard way and deal with the consequences of her decision. She is an adult. You can discreetly choose to save up for a lawyer for her if and when she actually sees the light. Another person said, "Make sure your beneficiaries, will, POA, and other important documents are exactly as you want them. Her husband will surely benefit when you shuffle off your mortal coil, and maybe that's fine and maybe not, but it's worth revisiting now that you've started over." Now we will move to the second story. Aborted my baby because it had Down syndrome and told my husband I had a miscarriage. We have always wanted kids, but we weren't actively trying for a baby. When I found out I was pregnant, I was actually on the pill and we were still using condoms, so it's still crazy to me how I fell pregnant in the first place. We know we aren't financially stable enough for a baby right now, and I expected him to react badly to me telling him the news, but he was quite rational and said we will figure this out together. It's my decision what I do with my body, just overall very supportive. I decided that if he was willing to be more present at home and that if we could make it work financially, then we will keep the baby, which we decided together that yes, we are having this baby. So fast forward a few weeks, I've had 2 scans done, one to confirm my pregnancy and another to just overall check baby's growth and health. After the second scan, something didn't feel right. I was getting really sick and my stomach just felt really off, so I begged my doctors to give me another scan and checkup, and it turns out my baby had Down syndrome. I can't even begin to explain the feeling of my blood turn cold in that moment. We definitely could not afford to have a baby with these complications. I went into pure panic mode and told the nurse right there and then that I don't want this baby. After a small talk of her trying to convince me to think about it first, offering me support numbers before I make a decision, I was adamant, so she booked me an appointment for an abortion. I went home that day and made up a lie saying that baby wasn't looking right and they want me in for another scan later in the week. That scanned, it was an abortion. It was not a nice experience, worse than what was described to me, and the emotional pain I feel is disgusting. A few days later, I told my husband I had a miscarriage, and he comforted me and we spoke about it. I told him I wanted to forget about it all and move on, seeing as it wasn't far along at all, and we can try again for real when we are ready in a few years. I will never ever tell him what I did. In my best defense, it would have ruined our marriage, run us dry of money, and I don't think we should have agreed to keep a baby in the first place because realistically we can't really afford it right now. We were planning to wait a couple more years. But it pains me knowing that if the baby didn't have Down syndrome, I would have kept it. I don't know how to feel, and I can't tell anyone. No one else even knows I was pregnant other than my husband, and I can never tell him that I got our baby aborted because it had Down syndrome. I know he said he supports my decision of keeping or not keeping a baby, but I feel like he would still hate me if he knew what I did. I hope one day I can forget about this and forgive myself. This happened 2 months ago and it's haunting me. A person said, "Raising disabled children is extremely expensive and emotionally grueling." I wouldn't change our situation, but we were in a super solid position when we had our child. In his case, we weren't aware of his disability before he was born. Had it been when we weren't ready, I am not sure that we would have been able to give him everything we are able to give him now. I say all that to tell you that I think you made a really hard decision, and I support and stand by you and the decision you made. You knew what you were able to give and not give at this time in your life. It is okay to grieve and feel all the feelings while also knowing that this decision was the right one for you. I hope that as time passes, you feel peace and let go of any guilt you have. Many hugs to you. Another person said, "I would have done the same. I'm not financially or emotionally equipped to handle a profoundly disabled child." Another person said, "I have a small scar on my back, barely noticeable after all these years. It's from the amniocentesis needle. They accidentally pricked me." My mom had the amniocentesis test when she was pregnant with me since it was a high-risk pregnancy. She was 40 in 1982 at the time. Though I was a planned and wanted pregnancy, she would have aborted me if I tested positive for Downs. She was willing to take care of me while she was alive, but worried about what would happen after she and my father passed. She was a RN and saw the way some people were treated and taken advantage of. Now she currently has dementia, and my father is long gone. You did the right thing. The compassionate thing. What do you guys say? Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.